I tell you by a landslide it outperformed, it makes them look like a walk in the park, a kid riding their tricycle when you pull up with a that's what Mythos did to Opus 4.6. Yeah, so this thing is serious and quite frankly might be the real deal. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Autonomous Income. I'm your co-host, Deuce Noble.
And I'm your co-host, DJ. A lot going on today, Deuce, man.
Hey, DJ, there's so many things happening. It's like every day we get a hit left and right. And quite frankly, I'm excited, right? There's a lot of cool things happening, but let's dive into a few. We're not going to take too much time today, but of course, we need to touch on Claude Mythos and what that has caused a commotion and what's going on with that, as well as a few other things. But we're going to talk about CDance 3.0, and we might even throw in something that just dropped with OpenAI and their GPT 5.4 Cyber. So we're going to talk about all those things. And what else? DJ, you got anything else you want to throw in there?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, we want to cover Mythos, but there's rumor mills about everything coming up with Google I.O. that's coming up here in a few weeks. Anticipation building around that, especially with, Mythos being announced. Like, is this going to be equivalent? Because we saw the benchmarks and all those other things, capability, what they're moving towards. Some of the things that Deuce and I were kind of talking about a little while ago, as far as for their agentic play into there. So lots to cover. So we'll try to keep with a quick hit of each one of these things.
We want to get in here, get out, and talk about some of the cool things. You know what? Let's go ahead and start Claude Mythos. Boom. Let's put it on the table. What do you think? What are your thoughts so far? Let the people know if they have been living under a rock. Yes, I'm talking to you. This is Claude Mythos. All right, DJ, let them know.
Yeah, man. So Claude Mythos was apparently, I guess, Deuce, it leaked, right? Or, some of the details got out. Or no, I think Anthropic actually... I don't know if it leaked and then they kind of made an announcement about it or how the orchestration worked, but
I don't know if it was a preview.
They did announce it and they kind of, just made a statement about it that it was so good. But the reason why this model, I know every couple of months, there's models that are coming out and there's announcements and it's the next wave. But this one really had the industry kind of in a chokehold is because of its strong cybersecurity implications, basically, I guess, for lack of a better word, is that essentially, this thing can code so well. I guess they found out that because it just really outperformed Opus 4.6 on all the benchmarks and everything like that.
Only did it outperform Opus 4.6, Sonnet 4.6 as well. And when I tell you by a landslide it outperformed, it makes them look like a walk in the park, a kid riding their tricycle when you pull up with a Harley. That's what Mythos did to Opus 4.6. Yeah, so this thing is serious and quite frankly might be the real deal for testing out security and exploiting security vulnerabilities.
Yeah. All of that. And it was. So just looking at it here, like essentially over 3,000 internal documents allegedly got exposed. And then, before they were ready. And then that's when they came out with the Mythos preview on, I think, April 8th, when they kind of essentially, launched it and mentioned it. And basically, this is a brand new tier of models. So that's the biggest, the biggest part of it. So the Opus 4.6 and then allegedly Opus 4.7 is going to come out, which is kind of like a little bump. This one's just like a next tier, I guess is the best way to say it, like of a model. So as we talk about like Project Glasswing, Deuce. So yeah, so what do you think about that conglomerate of just large companies? I definitely know there's a reason why they started with those companies, because they house some of the most important infrastructure all throughout, pretty much the globe, right? Not just in the States. So what is your take on that, Deuce, or your 2 cents?
Look, so here's the thing. I think Project Glasswing, or just this type of technology and the capabilities it has in the wrong hands, could very well potentially be dangerous, right? And a lot of things, I'm not going to go too long on this because I don't know too much, but there has always been stated the next war will be through cyber, in so many words, right? Mm-hmm. And if you think about the way technology has been advancing, I think it's smart for it to be done through Project Glasswing and through these companies, however, it's going to be interesting to see how tight they keep, or how they keep a seal on it. So I think the thing about Project Glasswing, so if you don't know, what they have done, they announced that Project Glasswing will bring together AWS, Anthropic, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, the Linux Foundation, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Palo Alto Networks. So those companies, if you don't know, are probably the strongest technical companies out. And in my opinion, and this is Deuce's 2 cents, this is how Skynet was formed.
Yeah.
So, I
I
mean,
mean, the
seriously,
comparison is like saying going from a sports car to a fighter jet. You know what I mean? Like in this,
this,
I'm
you're,
talking about the model itself, yeah, but Glasswing
yeah,
itself is
you're
like,
literally going from a trike, like a child's tricycle, to a jet going supersonic speed. And
yeah, it's crazy.
it's funny, but
And
I've
not to
seen enough
conflate the
movies.
two things. Yeah, Glasswing, as Deuce was articulating, my bad, Deuce. Like he's saying, those are all the companies that are involved, and you can tell by the company titles that it's a big deal. They were giving them early access, and I know the government and everything like that, and just so they can. Because this is why. So the reason why is because of the fact that apparently Mythos was kind of let loose for a while to kind of do some things, and it found like 27-year-old bugs, and like there's a few videos that we can reference to get all into the technical details around that.
And so
Matthew
look,
Berman put
not
in a
only
good video and
did
everything.
they find
Yeah.
these bugs, you know how fast they found them? Where these advanced developers and coders took them much longer. There's been bugs in code that they found
Or
in
they hadn't even
light
found
speed.
them. Yeah, right. Like
Right.
Mythos essentially found something that we as humans didn't find. So
And it's very interesting, but and I don't say this lightly, but like I said, being funny, but also very, very risk adverse. Skynet might be a real thing after this. Like I don't know.
you've been calling us out there for a while, but
Hey, listen, bro. And every day we get one step closer, and this
what's
is a step in the right direction. Project Glasswing, man, come on now. I mean, look at what it sounds like, right? The capabilities that have been observed on the frontier model, right? This is just the beginning. It could reshape cybersecurity. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know what that even means? We can't even grasp it. And of course, on the onset of quantum computing, which is a very, very hot topic as well, right? And you pair that with
But yeah,
this.
quantum computing was already like making a cybersecurity or just a cryptography in general, like very, people are already worried about that. But apparently now, look, outside of quantum computing, dudes, remember that was like the big thing. This is now, like apparently they have
Yes,
access to
now.
something now. So while people are freaking out is like the UK government apparently and the banking sectors are reportedly scrambling over cybersecurity holes Mythos found. So I mean, like if you think like any bank, any financial institution, I mean, you can get worse scenarios, right? Just think of the worst scenarios like of things happening to a country or something like that. But definitely the financial systems and everything like that being exposed. So the good about that, as we keep things moving, is essentially is Project Glasswing got a lot of the companies and infrastructure and these governments and everything like that together to apparently give them access to this, so that way they can secure it. Because on one side, as Deuce was talking about before, you can have offensive security and then you have defensive security. So the whole point is like basically making sure to have from defensive, like having access to this so that way you can really, secure your networks. And in addition to that, the thing is like, what I'm curious about is how these cybersecurity companies, like if you have something like that, is that just something they ingest, or how is that going to look and work for cybersecurity companies going forward?
So yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but there's definitely plans, which Anthropic did release their plans, and maybe we'll tag that below just to kind of shed light on what they know, or what we know rather, that they've dropped. But of course, that they have committed to and donated millions of credits, over
Yeah.
$100 million in credits to Project Glasswing, and that'll cover substantial usage through this research. It's a research preview, essentially. So they're going to find out even more. And like I said, if you pair this with quantum computing, and the fact of the matter is, there's things that we still don't know, right? So this is something that is new to us, and we're only seeing this. who knows what it's truly capable of and what's really behind those closed doors that they haven't released. You know, I'm just going to
A
speculate.
lot
I'm
of.
just going to speculate, but
Yeah,
who
I
knows?
know that reportedly the UK's AI Security Institute, they did confirm that, or reportedly confirmed that Mythos is the first AI model to solve their hardest multi-step cyber attack simulation from start to finish. So, I mean, like, and even CrowdStrike, right? And they're one of the biggest cybersecurity companies in the world. Apparently, a founding member of Anthropic Security Coalition, right? So they're a part of. So that's why I'm going with cybersecurity companies. Is it's like either you're in there or you're kind of integrated with that, or whatever the case is. Because like if you don't have, or are a part of that, then basically makes your software obsolete, right? You can have all your software that you want to, but like if you don't have access to this, or if you're not having it on yourself on your side, basically, from a defensive standpoint, either way, that's
Yeah,
just like
no,
FYI.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But I will say this. I want to close out with this for this part. I mean, potentially, these security practices are going to evolve this era of AI, right? And it's going to evolve into something else, right? So, and could potentially include a lot of things. But however, Anthropic claims that this will include vulnerability disclosure processes, software update processes, open source and supply chain security, patching automation, triage, scaling and automation, and a few other things, just to name. And I think that's great. I mean, as a by trade software developer, I think this is great for the scheme and schema for cybersecurity, understanding how to patch some of those things that are vulnerabilities. But this
yeah,
is a very serious matter as far as it's exciting for those that are into these types of things. On to the other part of cyber and what's been going on. OpenAI, of course, we always have to mention OpenAI. They also have announced and released, or well, they are said to be scaling up their Trusted Access for Cyber, or TAC, program,
mm,
and they've released a new and trained a new variant of their GPT. So GPT 5.4 is a new variant which is called GPT 5.4 Cyber. And of course, how great of a naming convention. But they plan to use their tools for cyber security and cyber permissive defenders and all that.
wonder. Isn't it coincidental that the time around that,
Very, very.
you know what I mean? The Mythos and the making waves like that. So, I mean, I don't know its capabilities. I haven't heard much about that from my industry knowledge and people that I've had conversations with. Mythos apparently is the real deal. Like, is the real deal.
Hey,
Not saying that
this is
GPTs
hot
is
off the
not.
presses. So
Yeah,
okay, let's
yeah.
if we say this, if we say Mythos was what announced over the weekend, what Monday, last Friday, right? It was recent. This was yesterday that OpenAI. You remember that time I told you whenever somebody drops something, OpenAI has something right up their sleeve. It's like,
But I
oh,
mean, all
bet,
of them at this
watch
point,
this,
man. All of them at
watch
this point.
this.
Yeah,
Cool. I'm just saying, OpenAI
yeah,
is always right there. You can't miss them. But it's very
yeah,
interesting. And I say that to say, like I said, we're in a new era of cyber defense using AI, and these are the things that are leading it right now. We have
yeah.
now Claude Mythos, and now we have also GPT 5.4 Cyber. And I hope they come up with a better naming convention for that. But they have been supporting defenders. They have been putting this out. So they have a strategy for their cybersecurity resilience. It's all in their white paper, which we will link as well because the too long don't read is, or the TLDR is their scaling access for cyber and GPT 5.4 cyber. That's a mouthful. Hey, OpenAI,
Yeah.
change that naming convention.
Yeah, man. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how that all unfolds and everything like that. But for our dualpreneurs that, have like either, cybersecurity consulting or anything in that realm, definitely good to kind of keep your pulse on because this industry is really, really moving fast. And cybersecurity is just like something you literally always have to have. But with these capabilities now, I'm just like, you know, like what you kind of think of is just like, offensive and defensive, like how that balance is going to go. And, hopefully it balances out, with the capabilities. It's good. I'm glad to see Project Glasswing and all of those things. And maybe ChatGPT, like you were saying, or OpenAI rather, will have kind of something similar for their 5.4 cyber and Deuce that you were kind of talking about. If it also seems to, like, I'd be interested for them once it makes its waves around to see like if it's also going to be one of those ones that's just like, whoa, this thing is just like a beast, right? And finding vulnerabilities and stitching together different bugs and all
Very
crazy
interested to
stuff.
see how it plays out. I think I saw somewhere it said Project Glasswing is going to have some updates after 90 days. And, whenever they have some updates, we will update you guys as
For
well
sure.
because we're interested and very invested because this
I mean,
could
yeah,
literally
small business
change the
owners.
game,
Yeah,
right?
for
For
sure.
small business owners, if you have a website, this is important for you. If you have
Yeah,
social media, this should
this
matter
is
to you.
important for,
If
yeah,
you
any
have home
content creators. Yeah,
security, this should matter to you, right? So ideally, that should cover everyone. But yes, this new era is very interesting.
yeah, for sure. All right, and as we keep things moving on to other news, a sore spot for Deuce and myself. I don't know if y'all remember, we got early access to Sora 2, I guess is what it was called when it came out, and you had to have a
Play my
pass to get
tiny
in. And I think,
violin.
yeah, we had so Deuce and I was able to get in maybe the first or second day that they were invite only, and it was open and everything like that, and rode the whole wave. Like we were talking earlier about like how he had like 7 videos, pinned in. He was, we're all there
Man,
and using it, everything and everything like that.
queued
And
up.
yeah, and then they started lowering it, of course, because apparently it was eating them alive, GPU wise, and just compute wise, right? Everybody knows by now. OpenAI has already announced that they'll be closing down Sora. It's just very resource intensive and all this other stuff. That's going away. So it's burning, I think, $1 million per day is what they're saying to operate. And the usage dropped below 500,000. Everybody knows about Disney, the $1 billion partnership that they had that was on the table. So it's basically, and the crazy part is they found out also the same time pretty much everybody else found out that, Sora was kind of pulling that. So that was just interesting how that occurred anyway. But the app is supposed to go dark on April the 26th. So, a little bit
Zero Dark 30. It's already kind of sad what's
yeah,
going on with it.
about
It's
11
like
days, from now.
they canceled the
As
GPUs and
of day of
everything.
this record. OpenAI is going to redirect basically that compute towards coding tools, enterprise, like they're getting that focus. And it looks like, Deuce, I think we were saying this last week that, now they're focused, they're going to try to kind of do what Anthropic was doing and go and kind of go in for enterprise and kind of get, stop spreading themselves so thin. And it definitely makes
Of
sense.
course.
But, this is a part of that. So, there's a lesson
OpenAI
in that.
OpenAI is taking a chapter out of the business playbook and keeping the main thing. They're going to kind of refocus on what made them OpenAI and double down on their GPTs and their LLMs. So that's a great bet for them because they were doing a lot of things. And there was nothing wrong with that. However, everyone else was catching up and they didn't like it.
But I guess the lesson for entrepreneurs and for business owners, dualpreneurs, all this other stuff is that even a company with billions of, backing dollars and all that will kill a cool product if it doesn't make money, right? So Sora kind of proved that the hype doesn't necessarily equal a good product market fit. So it's just kind of just a good nugget. Deuce, I would ask you, like we were talking before, I actually, like when it came out, like I liked it so much and I was, using it, for social media content and all this other stuff that I upgraded. That was one of the reasons why I was like, oh,
Right,
let me check this
right,
Pro out. So you get more, high quality videos and everything like that. I guess there wasn't enough individuals, or maybe
right.
there was at once, that was the thing but like, that's what it
Man,
seems
no,
like.
no wonder why
Yeah.
every time I try to cast you as a cartoon, it wouldn't work because your videos were just too high quality, and and they did me dirty every time. Every
Yeah, I
time they
mean,
did
but
me dirty.
the concept about that was
But
cool.
no,
Like,
it
it would be
was.
cool to wake up one day and see a video that you had made, and you had us as Legos, like you had us like as all these like, dang man.
Because I would see some stuff and I get some ideas, and I'm like, you know what, this is perfect. And I think Sora 2 was great for content
Yeah,
purposes because think about it as back in the day. You remember Vine, 6-second videos, and this is how people had to be very, very creative in those 6 seconds
they
to
did.
create a viral moment. Now, this is the AI version because the videos weren't very long, right? And if you could prompt it correctly, you could have a decently good viral moment esque video, which some of them we have seen that were transplanted onto other platforms and also had the watermark scrubbed off. I've seen because people are like, oh, look at this video. I'm like, that's AI, right? They're like, really? Wow.
Yeah.
So the quality was very good, and the purpose people were using it was very good as well. So, us were using it for autonomous income. I was using it as, maybe intro videos and stuff. So I'm going to go
Yeah.
back, try to see if I can
There's a
save
lot
and
of different
salvage
use
all those
cases.
videos.
Yeah,
There's
they do
a
have an
lot of great
option
use
now.
cases.
Apparently, yeah, you can save. No, that was a lot of good, and they did open up to where you can kind of save in bulk. Apparently, like everything that you created on there. So as it is right now, CDance 2.0, as we've spoken about before on the channel, is like it currently sits on the throne. That is like what everybody's rated number one across a lot of the AI video kind of rankings and all of those other things. And that CDance is brought to us by ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, right? So that one right now, I mean, like, it just has a lot of capabilities, looks really, really good. That was one, I think it was
Man,
Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt that had that fight scene that went super viral. That was C-Dance. And you're seeing a lot more C-Dance videos now. So if you've seen something that looks really good, because before I saw it, one of the things was it was really good. And it started to get to where like it may not be AI slop. And some of the videos like, oh, this kind of AI slop is what they were labeling it as. But C-Dance ones, like now people are like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like the fight scenes got a little better and more realistic, and just a lot of the reality of it kind of just looks, or just, it's just really cool concepts and everything like that. Creatives are really running wild with that. And then of course, at first it was the IP stuff. Deuce, I think we brought that up before, right? That was
well,
going
what's
wild.
interesting,
Yeah.
I saw another creator mention this and talk about it, but essentially they kind of was like they led off with, hey, Marvel got rid of their whole VFX department because CDance 2.0 and Clean 3.0 has redefined how CGI and graphics are
Yeah.
made, and what before took a $50,000 investment in a team of over 300 artists and visual producers, and it might take hours and even days to do. C-Dance did a whole transformation with lighting and correct dimensions in probably about 47 seconds. I think
Yeah, they're
that
saying it's
is key,
more of a director's error. Yeah, the
right?
error was what. Yeah.
So if you think about between Higgsfield AI, C-Dance 2.0, Clean 3.0, they're really at the top of the food chain. And honestly, I think visual effects and movie directors should be on alarm, right? Because if I can make a movie, I can make this movie scene with this technology in a fraction of the time.
Yeah,
That's
but
tough.
I think Hollywood's in it though, man. Like, because Higgsfield, right, the one that you were talking about earlier, like apparently Hollywood's in and investments on there, so I think they'll be plugged in. I think if anything, now maybe
They
the
are, but a
cost
lot of people are losing
associated.
their jobs.
It seems like everywhere's kind of it's impacting some of the things
It's
too.
impacting a lot.
Yeah, for sure. But what I'm saying is like I just think like people who leverage it and companies or whatever they decide to, or Hollywood or whatever, like it seems like they're gonna start leaning into leveraging this technology a little bit
Absolutely.
more. And maybe that'll bring down the cost to where people might be able to do something else. I think more, be more involved creatively. I don't know how they're going to solve. That's a big issue and a big problem, like, with displacement and all that. And I hope there's a way to kind of figure out how, people can still do things in whatever industry that they're in. But specifically on this one, like, yeah,
Well,
like I think it's
no,
tough.
no, I think for our entrepreneurs and our smallpreneurs and all those people, even our, videographers, photographers, if you're into movie creation and you don't have the budget or the tools, look into these tools because this can help create, you don't have to use it for the whole thing, but you can use it for scenes, right? And I think that's cool. You can have literally the next Ryan Coogler or Ava DuVernay come out of using some tools like this, right? Pick up a camera, write a script, prompt a few things, and you can do it by yourself. Right. And I think that's pretty cool. So if you're into some of the stuff, I know a few videographers, I'm going to see how they are utilizing AI in some of the things that they capture. Right.
Yeah.
Because I think you're going to start to see a blend of live recorded video and AI.
Yeah, it's already out there, man. Like there's gonna be a lot. I think it's interesting. And like us as like futurists and tech enthusiasts and everything, I'm definitely early adopters of this tech, like kind of seeing how it all unfolds. And I do see a lot of cool creativity, but I go back to, man, those cool factors of most of the AI video tools, Deuce, is usually when it's wrapped with IP. That's the thing. So I
Yeah.
wonder how they're really gonna solve that, because I know Disney and Sora we're gonna try that. So now is maybe Disney gonna partner with ByteDance or aka Cdance or if they're going to partner with next what we're going to get into with Google, or anything like that. If it's going to move, because that I think for a fee or some kind of additional subscription cost, then it might make sense, because the most viral ones that go out there, like we've been talking about before, is like Turtles and versus Power Rangers or whatever the case
Right,
is, or
right,
like
right.
you see like a Paid in Full with
The
Turtles
one,
characters,
the
like
one I
you see
see
them like
now
all
is like,
these.
yeah, the Transformers one.
Yeah, you see a
You
lot of
know,
that.
a lot
And
of that
so
things.
and so we were talking about that before. Is just like, is that really what people get propelled about? Like, of course, if it's clean and not too crazy, but like, would you pay extra to have access to that so you can create that type of content if you're in that lane, or if you want to watch that kind of stuff? Like, it's gonna be interesting to see how that unfolds to it. But to get us on VO4. Next subject is Google. So as we get into, just start talking about some of the Google stuff, I'm excited. They have Google I/O coming up on May 19th, as we were talking about before. But as we're talking about video, Google VO4 is rumored, to make his, debut there. So Deuce, do you think, straight up question, 2 cents, is it going to dethrone everything that's out there? If there's
Of
something that
course.
comes out tomorrow, anything between now and April 19th, or excuse me, May 19th, does anything have a chance against VO?
I'm gonna tell you one thing about Google that I have come to learn over the years. They don't miss, right? When
Mm,
they shoot, and they never
Stadia.
fall short. Stadia didn't miss when it came out. It was on point. The only thing I will say about Google is a lot of times they are very, very early, right?
Yes. Yeah. And
For
look,
certain
I'm a
things.
huge Stadia. We both we're founders of
Yeah.
Stadia. I only say Stadia is because to me they missed because they didn't stay in. But
Well,
I'm sure
they
they have metrics
but
and
the
dashboards
thing
and
about
everything.
that
But
is they were early, right? So Stadia was early.
yeah,
Google Glass, remember Google Glass, early, too early. Because look at what we have now. If you go back and look at just the style alone of Google Glass, very unique, very futuristic. But that was in 2013 that they first, announced it came out. Okay, if we think about 13 years ago, crazy to say,
that's crazy.
what were we doing with Google Glass then? But now everyone's walking around with a Ray-Ban.
They are Meta Red Band. I see them more
Man, red bands.
often.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So the thing about this, Google, they don't miss. They're either always early or they're right on time. And of
yeah.
course,
I mean, look, the
the video,
transformer model, right? I mean, that's Google. Like a lot of what OpenAI, innovated, right? Or they kind of thought through and solved it in
absolutely.
a different way. But Google was the one that came up with that core foundation, and then like
Yeah.
their world models and everything. Trust me, huge. Yeah, I really think that
And this is why I think
they're gonna figure it out.
VO 4.0 is going to be right on time. And I don't think when it comes out, I don't think there's going to be anything that tops it. At least not for a while. Maybe
Mm.
I'll give OpenAI a month, but
No,
because like I
OpenAI's
said,
out. They're out.
But,
Remember, they're not
but
doing video.
listen, OpenAI always has something up their sleeve, right?
No,
They
I
might
think
they
they're out
might
of
let you
video.
think, but I will say
Look,
this.
look at this. Because Anthropic, look, right. Remember, we talked about they sticking to the LLMs, the chat, the co-working,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
enterprise
yeah,
solutions, and that. And so I think now that OpenAI is doing that, but I guess the new competitors you were talking about before is like Clean and then Cdance. So
yeah.
maybe it's just like that's going to take over, and Google's just kind of everywhere because it's
Well,
going to have
well, you got to
chat,
think.
video, everything.
So they have VO 4.0, but you got to
Or
think
Meta,
Google,
Meta with their Meta Spark
Meta,
and all that.
Meta, but Google has the partnership with Higgsfield and Nano Banana. They kind of been utilizing that. So who knows? You might see some type of deeper intertwined relationship with Higgsfield and VO. Who knows?
And I don't
However,
know.
I
Either
will
way,
say on the topic of Google I/O and Google I/O leaks, this is not a Google I/O leaks episode, but I
what you
gotta
know,
hit this.
yeah, yeah.
I
Don't
gotta
try to
hit this
clean it
other
up
one.
now. You put it out.
These are Google leaks, but Google is testing a co-work application competitor, right?
Mm.
So if you don't know, they are looking for a desktop competitor, simply named Agent, right, for their Gemini Enterprise, where it also has a
In the
button,
loop
human
toggle.
review
Yeah,
button toggle.
yeah.
Man,
And
and
they do that right now. I
I use
use
Google
Google
Anti-Gravity,
Anti-Gravity,
and
and
that's
that's
a
a
thing
thing
also.
also.
Like
Like
you
you
can
can
set
set
different
different
permissions
permissions
in
in
there.
there.
And
And
one
one
of
of
them
them
is
is
like
like
needs
needs
review
review
or
or
something
something
along
along
that.
that.
So
So
you
you
can
can
kind
kind
of
of
set
set
the
the
human
human
in
in
the
the
loop
loop
as
as
a
a
part
part
of
of
the
the
process,
process,
or
or
you
you
can
can
set
set
certain
certain
things,
things,
certain
certain
execution
execution
bases
bases
where
where
you
you
can
can
set
set
that
that
as
as
where
where
you
you
don't
don't
want
want
human
human
review.
review.
So
So
it's
it's
all
all
within
within
like
like
your
your
risk
risk
tolerance,
tolerance,
right?
right?
And
And
it's
it's
like,
like, so
yeah,
anyway, they
so
have that as some of the options, but that's pretty cool
requiring the
though.
human
Yeah.
review, but ultimately they're having its own desktop agent. Excuse me, it's going to integrate with their AI studio. So that's the rumor mill coming out of Google I/O. Long gone are the days of we've been looking forward to the new devices coming out on I/O we're looking for the new LLMs, right? Because I remember Google I/O. I'm trying to see what this new Pixel gonna bring, right?
Yeah.
Now,
No, yeah, that's right. Like we were
now
literally
we on
there.
this Gemini Enterprise.
At
You know what
one
I'm
point, we
saying?
were at a table conference room full of iOS this and iOS that, like Apple users and Deuce and I were like the only ones representing Android, right? Like really excited about that.
Man,
And
I
now
was
we,
like,
we we dabble with both. Like right now, I like both devices, in their
you know what? It don't
ecosystems and all
matter.
that. But yeah,
It
yeah.
don't matter. Let me know
But
what Gemini is coming out with. Let me know what
yeah,
that Gemini Enterprise got going on
yes,
because I'm using it. Okay. And I'm excited to see all the tools that Google releases in I/O, what they make updates with, whether it's Notebook LM,
1,000.
Gemini, of course, anti-gravity, VO, if
That's a
Nano
perfect
Banana gets the update.
segue
You know what I
over
mean?
to that. Yeah. And so just, to tie that in, if you're not using these videos, if you haven't checked out CDS yet and you're a business owner and you want to create promotion material or anything like that, I would definitely, check that out. You can use Higgsfield and Runway ML. There's a lot of different places you can use it or directly through CDance. We'll leave the link below. There's a way that I think it's Dreamia and then CapCut, I think allows you to use it if I'm not mistaken also because that's owned by ByteDance as well. But definitely check it out, incorporate that into your business so that way you can use it. And,
Well,
as we
one thing
move on.
also, if you guys are interested, for those who are listening, if you're interested for, just some tutorials or some, breakdowns of those tools and unpacking those, let us know in the comments. DJ and I gladly, we use it for ourselves, but we gladly can set up, we may even open up either a school channel or something else where we can, do some tutorials and teach you guys how to use these tools. As an entrepreneur, as a content creator, we even do use tools for any industry. If you're a teacher, real estate, public speaker, DJ, even there's a tool out there for you.
Yeah, and even how to use them at work. So, if you're in product, if
Yes.
you're developers and everything like that, a lot of developers are already kind of diving into it. But if you're on the business side or product side, teams and everything like that, I'm assuming a lot of you are you also using it as well. But if not, definitely for PRDs and all kinds of other stuff, there's a way that you can stitch things together. So yeah, we're definitely could bring that type of content as well to kind of show you how we're using those in our workflows. That's a good point.
Hey DJ, you remember back when iPhone was still very, very new and it was ramping up in popularity and they had those commercials like, yeah, there's an app for that. Okay,
Yep,
there's an app for
yep.
that. You know what? Nowadays there's an AI for it as well. Anything you do,
Or a skill.
any
Yeah,
line
there's a
of work,
skill.
there's an AI for it, there is an agent for it, there's an
There's an
LLM
agent,
for
yeah,
something
or some
you
kind
do.
of
I can
skill, yeah,
promise you that
tool.
there's tools specific to what you are working in your industry. So
Yeah.
we're here to bring those to your attention. So let us know.
And also distilling like your own, like if there's a proprietary data that you're sitting on and you want to model that out as well, there's ways to train your own models based off of some of these, especially like with the open source models that you can use as a chassis, like Gemma 4. We didn't touch on that, but that's also by Google that just released. Anyway, we can get into all of those things. We're moving on to Google I/O rumors, which kind of alluded to already with VO4 but Gemini 4. We have
Man,
Claude
it's coming
Mythos. I
right
want to
on
ask you,
time.
do you think Gemini 4 and Claude Mythos, as far as from a tier upgrade from the current models, are one and one, or do you think it's just two different types of model? Do you think Claude Mythos is literally just a cybersecurity kind of like 5.4 from OpenAI that you were mentioning before, or do you think this is more a different approach?
I think Mythos didn't mean to be a cybersecurity thing. They just found out it
Is this
was
how?
very
Yeah,
good at that. You know what I mean? However, I think Gemini 4, when it comes, is going to be all that in a bag of chips. It might also do some of those things. I don't know if it'll be specified for it because Claude Mythos, they seem like they're going to try to redirect its potential to be specifically
yeah.
for that cybersecurity piece. But I'm excited to see how Gemini 4 comes and what it brings to the table because it might blow things out the water by a long shot as far as overall LLM. Because right now, I use Claude and I use Perplexity mostly, but Gemini is still my everyday go-to. But the thing is, like, man, I'm just excited. So I think, look, we might have to have a couple special episodes for IO just
Oh
to
yeah.
touch base on a few things.
Watch
But
party. Maybe we'll do live for a watch party or something. Yeah.
yeah, so
No,
it'll
yeah. I
be
mean,
very
like
interesting.
I'm excited for that. I think to go back to the question I was saying before, is it's like I don't know if it'll be the same. There, Google's big on like these world models, and they've been multi input output, multimodal, and all these other things like that for a long time. So I'm excited for it because I do like even since It was called, what was it called before? So it was Gemini now, but at first it was called something Bard. Ever since, and I know Bard had a bad reputation because it originally came out and it had some issues or whatever the case is. But just like its, writing style and all those other things, like that was kind of like, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like I thought it was a thing. And so even now with Gemini 3.1 Pro, like, I do like that. Now, Opus 4.6 is solid also. I can't, definitely, they have kind of different styles, if you will, just with how they handle things and all that other stuff. But I'm excited to see how it goes. But here's what I think. Long story short, to combine all that, Google, as you know, is positioned, Deuce, like across everything. Because if you're heavy into Google's ecosystem of like Gmail and just all of their work too. If you use Sheets and you use slides, and you don't even have to use those, you can use PowerPoint and all this other stuff. But if you're into the ecosystem, now it's supposed to be more proactive AI versus reactive AI, and getting really into their whole agentic kind of workflow. That's where I'm excited for to see how they kind of stitch those things together. And Microsoft is, with Copilot is what they're trying to do, especially like the Copilot 365, where, it can pull context and it can help you draft stuff and all of that other stuff. So now Google, especially since Google's so deep in the consumer market, I want to see how it really stitches these products together. I'm sure they'll have enterprise tools and everything like that. But just like, Deuce, you'll be in a chat maybe when you're asking about, or it might, say, hey, you got this email. Is this what you want to respond? Or, hey,
Right.
this email is, came from this person and it pulls context for this and it like automatically drafts like, you want me to send this? That really proactive, like I can't wait to see that in this type of ecosystem, because I mean, like it can stitch a lot together. If you're using Google Drive, if you're using whatever, like if somebody say, hey, do you have an image, and it goes and grabs it, maybe not, but I'm just saying there's different use cases that I know is going to come out, and I can't wait to see how they pull those things together.
No, absolutely. I'm excited just to see it and just to bear witness, right? And I think that, like I said earlier, this is the next era of AI. Last year, I think we said what that was a year of the agents. Was that last year or anyway, we had a year of the agents. Now I think this next wave of AI is, in the
That's crazy that we
video.
have to ask, like, was that the year to
I
this
mean,
or that or
I'm just
whatever? Yeah.
saying that I don't know, like when I tell you it's moving so fast, 2024, no, I think it was last year. No, yeah, 2025, that was the year of the agents, right? It was very agentic-esque as of how the models came out. Now, if you look at it, we're in a very video heavy, image heavy type of AI world in LLM, and this new era of security and how things are going to take shape will really redefine anything. In each year, something is going to get deeper in that.
I would flip it. I think this year's the year of agents only because, like, I think we got VO3 or whatever it was last year, right? At some point last year. And that was pretty good. Like, VO3 wasn't bad. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then Sora too, like, we had that at the end of last year. So I would kind of say, but honestly, Deuce, I think the way it's coming out, we had agents then. It just, I guess, depends on the lens that you're looking at. So, it could definitely, you could probably flip a coin and it could be on either side. But for me, I'm thinking like, more of the maybe competent agents, and them really being able to be proactive and do more orchestration that is kind of built out, the maturity of the tools that they can call and leverage, and all this other stuff, the structure and scaffolding that's built into a lot of them now. I really think that's 2026, and 25 had good video, but it is moving fast across all aspects. I mean, let alone cyber, right? As we're talking about that too. So
This is definitely interesting. If you guys are into some of the rumor mills for IO or anything coming out, hey, let us know down in the comments what you guys have been hearing or seeing, right? Or share some of your thoughts about some of the things we've talked about today. Because we're always here, like I said, just to educate and to put things out there the best way we can. And of course, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Catch y'all on the next one.
catch you on the next one. Peace.